Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Leo the Weather Nerd weather forecast. And in this video, we're going to be talking all about the tropics. But of course, can't start off without the mosquito meter. Tomorrow we have medium to high amounts of mosquitoes. So that's that. And tomorrow we will be waking up to the um 50s, upper 50s for the most part. A little bit warmer than this morning. Especially in North Carolina. South Carolina will have some 60s, and Georgia will have 60s and 70s. So warmer than we have been for all of us. But if we take a look at the highs, it's not going to be too bad in the afternoons. We will have 70s from that lingering fall air mass. Well, actually, it's just clouds from Francine, which we'll get to in a moment. Um, but along the coast, at most it will be mid 80s, so not too bad out there. Even though it's a little bit muggy, it's going to be cloudy, so that's good news. But if we take a look at the visible satellite right now from space, we have Francine right there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, spinning away and bringing some really nasty conditions into Louisiana right now. This will make landfall tonight as a probably Category 2 hurricane, and then kind of do something like this. We'll take a look at the cone in a moment. Um, but this will bring impacts to us, even though it's going to be several hundred miles away. That's also something I will get to in a second. But it's kind of interesting how these tropical systems can bring impacts, even if they are several hundred miles away from us. But just a reminder is that the cone isn't everything. And I made this little graphic for Debbie actually, but I'll use it again for Francine. I can't draw on this, so I have to use my mouse. But for Alberto, the first storm of the season, we had this little cone towards the end of its life. Um, and you can see on the left hand corner side of the graphic, we have the cone for Alberto heading to Mexico, but the tropical storm warnings or the blue line extending it to central Texas or the central Texas coastline, which is about 400 miles away. And even the surge was decent over there in the central Texas coastline. So just goes to show that just because you're not in the cone doesn't mean you won't see anything. And here's a closer look at Francine through infrared satellite. The brighter colors like this black and white and purple show some pretty intense storms going on. And if you have that around the center of a tropical system, that means it's strengthening. So it's trying to fight off that dry air and keep its strength going. So that's not really good news for anyone in Louisiana, but the storm is going to strengthen until it gets to land. A few days ago, it was looking like a Category 3 at most, but at least that dry air helped keep its strength down for a little bit. But here's the cone from the National Hurricane Center. The orange is tropical storm force winds, and the dark orange are hurricane winds. So not the biggest wind field ever, especially not compared to Alberto in the graphic. But still, if you do know anyone in the cone or close to it here in Louisiana, um, or in the tropical storm warnings, give them a heads up if they don't already know already. It might be a little bit too late for that actually, but um, the impacts are going to spread well into Louisiana, and the warnings even extend pretty far inland into Mississippi. So um, there's the cone, and then if we take a look at simulated radar for this storm, the European model shows this hitting Louisiana as a pretty strong Category 2 hurricane, moving north, kind of like the National Hurricane Center is saying, and then bringing in some moisture from the Atlantic towards our area. And actually, before that happens, there's going to be a small little tornado risk in the southwestern corner of Georgia right around this time frame for tomorrow. So just be mindful of that. And then the remaining circulation and the high pressure to the northeast will bring in some um, moisture and keep some rainy conditions around Friday and Saturday, especially for South Carolina and Georgia. And if we take a look at the severe weather outlook, you can see that slight risk, which is tornado driven, extends into western Georgia for the marginal risk or the low risk, and then the slight risk has a very small corner of southwestern Georgia. So um, this will probably not go into day 3 or let's see, Friday. And they have the Storm Prediction Center has a um, general thunderstorm risk, but depending on how strong Francine remains into um, Missouri and Arkansas in the general vicinity of that will depend on how close that severe weather risk gets. So probably nothing major, especially Friday, but we'll keep an eye on it for sure. And here's the rainfall outlook. It's going to be a good dousing of rain for areas farther west near the cone. And even though we're not in the cone, definitely far away from the center of Francine, we'll still get a solid 1 to 2 inches for the area. But if you live in eastern North Carolina, you will probably not get that much rain at all, if not nothing. So this um, map is going to be location dependent. So if we take a look at the rest of the tropics now, we have one area off the southeast coast actually for next week. This has a 20% chance as of now, but the models are in pretty good agreement that something might form off the coast next week. And then we have 2 others between the Lesser Antilles, which is this little archipelago, and Africa. So even though they have a low chance, they still have a chance, and even if they develop, they won't affect anyone in a big way. Look, especially if you look at the models, they're not picking up on these 2 areas very well. But we do have Tropical Depression 7, which will most likely take the Jeannie or Gordon here next week as well. Right now has 35-mile-per-hour winds and is just west of the African coastline. If we take a quick look at the cone for this storm, let me pull it up. The National Hurricane Center has this cone kind of just directed at nobody, and through the next 7 days, or 5 days, I should say. Depending on all the high pressures and troughs going on in the ocean, this might head towards someone, but right now it's nothing too concerning, so that's good news. And if we look at the models, the European model is showing Francine in the left side of the map dissipating, and then Tropical Depression 7, which is this little L, heading out to sea and not bothering anyone, and not even strengthening that much, actually. So that's some good news. And that is the end of the weather report. Thank you guys for watching and staying through the end of the video, or at least getting through some of it. But make sure to like and subscribe. That really helps my channel and helps get this video out to some more people. And I'll see you all in the next weather report, everyone.